Hey guys, welcome back to Homestead 215. I'm out here in my garden. It is the 1st of June, so I thought I'd give you a quick update on how my garden's doing. It is sprinkling on me right now, so I may have to cut this short and finish later, but for now, let's do a quick little garden tour. As you enter, I have my potatoes doing really well right here in this first bed. I need to get some straw and kind of add another layer of straw on them, but they are doing really well. No ma'am, you may not come in, sorry. Stay out there. I got tomatoes all along the fence here in some buckets, and these are, I do tomatoes a little bit closer than is recommended if you are not pruning. Now if you're pruning, you can have, as long as you have good airflow between your plants, you are good. I usually do about 1 foot to 18 inches apart if they're pruned really well. I haven't pruned a whole bunch yet just because they're still getting established and they're pretty small still. But as they get bigger, I will prune those bottom branches off. But back to the potatoes. These, I don't do a ton of hilling up of my potatoes, but I will add another layer just to make sure the potatoes underneath that are growing do not have too much sunlight, because that can cause them to go bad. A lot of volunteer noodle beans right here down at the bottom, and I'm gonna leave them and let them go. Right here at the bottom of the trellis, there's nothing started yet, but I did plant some Kajari melon seeds. I've tried these I tried them last year, I think was the first year I tried them, and the squash bugs just totally destroyed them, so I didn't get anything, but I'm going to try again this year. This is in a different bed that hasn't had squash, so I'm hoping the squash bugs won't find it very soon, or that they'll go to my other squash and kind of leave these alone. So we'll see what happens. And then over here on this side of the bed is a bunch of radishes that I'm getting ready to harvest. You can see a lot of them are pretty close to ready to come out. Let's see. Some of these are the ones that get rounded. Some of these aren't doing great at all. But some of these are the ones that are like the cherry bell radishes, doing really nicely. Oh, that's leaves in the way. While others are supposed to be like the slipper radishes. I do have some tomatoes planted in the back behind the radishes, so that once I harvest these, they'll get a lot more sunlight and that will help them. But I just kind of went ahead and planted them. And then back here on the trellis is some peas that have not started producing yet. It's been kind of a weird spring / early summer. I thought it would be too hot for peas because we had a really couple hot weeks, and then now it's back in the 60s again. So I'm like, well, maybe my peas will do okay. So I'm gonna leave them. I'm not pulling them out yet, but they haven't even bloomed yet. So we'll see if I get anything from those or not. Who knows? Back here in this pool bed that I use, I have planted a lot of onions around kind of the back perimeter. And then up in the front is some lettuces, some kohlrabi in the middle right here. There's a carrot that's actually overwintered from last year, and the bunnies have kind of destroyed a lot of the leaves, but I'm hoping it'll still produce a pretty good carrot. Lots of tomatoes in these buckets right here. I did a lot of different varieties of tomatoes this year. My goal is to can and to make all of our salsa, pasta sauces. I want to make ketchup a lot this year. So my goal is to just have a ton of tomatoes and do a lot of things with it. So that is why I grew so many tomatoes this year. Over here, we have more tomatoes on this trellis right here in the front. And then these are some volunteer calendula plants that came back from last year, and I just left them. And this is a dill plant that I just transplanted the other day. I winter sowed these, so I just planted it. It looks like might be struggling, so we'll see how that does. I also have some dill in other places, and then up in my green stalk as well. This bed is going to be here in a couple days. I'm going to transplant my peppers once it gets warm enough for those. So I'm kind of holding off because it's been such a cool few days. Your peppers, you really want to wait till it's warmer overnight, especially. I mean, we're not having frost or anything anymore, but still, you just want to make sure it's at least over 50 degrees overnight, and preferably 60s would be great for peppers because they like it hotter. So this will be all peppers, and I'm going to throw some basil in between them and things like that once I get the peppers transplanted. They are hardening off right now, so they'll be ready here in a few days. This is my chives. That is from returning the last couple of years, getting nice and big. I'm going to make some onion powder here soon with those. If you come back over here to this bed, I have on the trellis up here a few cucumbers that I winter sowed that are a little bit yellow because they were getting yellow when the winter sow drugs, and I just transplanted those about a week ago probably, so they'll hopefully recover still. They've grown a little bit already, but we'll see how much time we get with those. And then I planted a few seeds along the rest of the trellis at the bottom, that just to finish up this trellis and hopefully get another round of cucumbers as well. Then we have behind the trellis several tomato plants growing throughout here. There's a couple actually volunteer squash plants. I think those are from compost because I did not plant squash here last year. We might have some surprise pumpkins, or who knows what kind of squash that will be. We'll see. And there's also onions down in there in between the tomato plants as well. My garlic is laying down already. We had a bad storm the other day, so I think it just got knocked down, but I don't think it's actually ready to harvest, but it's also kind of at a point where I don't think it's going to keep growing. So I may have to harvest that here soon. And when I harvest that, I'll just plant something else in the bed instead. This is my strawberry patch, which I think the last time I did a video, I showed you how much of this has taken over the garden, which I mean, I'm okay with in some ways. We've had a ton of strawberries this year. We've made a ton of strawberry jam and strawberry syrup for waffles and pancakes. We've done dried strawberries for snacks. We've just had strawberries all throughout the day to snack on. We've done strawberry shortcake. Like, we've done all kinds of strawberry stuff. I'm going to do strawberry muffins here soon. But at the same time, while I love it, it's also like, this right here is supposed to be a pathway, and I have to step through and over strawberries every time I walk through, which is not ideal, and I definitely don't want it to take over this bed. So this next year, I don't want those to keep creeping over the bed. So I will have to pull some of these strawberries out by the end of the year at least. And then those strawberries that are back in the back right there are about to take over that back bed. So I'm going to have to trim these back and kind of control that a little bit. So for now, let's step through the strawberries. But you can see, like, they're doing so well, so good. We just got strawberries everywhere. I mean, everywhere you turn, there's more strawberries. So, doing really well. Back in this bed, we've got some chamomile. My chamomile is always laying flat, and I don't really know what I've done wrong to cause that. This was a winter sown chamomile that I planted last year, and all last year it just laid flat like this. It has grown since last year. It's bigger, but it's not standing up very well. So I'm not sure if it's just not draining well, the water doesn't drain well here or what, but we are getting some buds at least, so we'll hopefully have some chamomile here soon. There's one flower that's finally opened up. So hopefully I'll be able to get a lot of chamomile tea this year. It smells amazing. I love to just come out and smell the chamomile. It smells so good. Back here on this trellis is some tomatoes in the back. I'm going to plant a few more tomatoes right here. I had to finish hardening some off, so I'll plant those here. There's some onions that I just transplanted, so they're still a little droopy, and some nasturtium. I planted a bunch of Space Master cucumbers right here in the front yesterday. So hopefully those will sprout soon. And then this middle area, I have some huckleberries that I'm hardening off that I did huckleberries last year and got a ton of huckleberries. They're the chicolette berries, I think is what they're called, but they're a type of huckleberry, and they're really good for pies and jams and things like that. More tomatoes in those buckets against the fence. And then over here, it is raining on me, so I'm gonna have to finish this up. Over here on this trellis is some more tomatoes. There's a chamomile plant in the back right there. One up here in the corner that I just transplanted. I kind of split them up and transplanted them other places as well. In the very front of that bed, kind of behind the strawberries, you can't see it very well, but there's a bunch of carrots planted. They haven't sprouted yet, but that will be carrots. And then in the back, behind the tomatoes, I haven't planted yet, but I'm going to put some more peppers back here. So this will be my sweet peppers, and then my hot peppers are the ones that were planted in that bed I showed you first, where it's ready to go. It just needs to be transplanted. So there'll be hot peppers over there, sweet peppers over here. You don't want to plant them super close together because they can, if you're saving seeds, like my sweet pepper seeds will actually maybe cross with the hot pepper seeds. So next season when I grow plants, if I don't save the seeds well and I don't prevent cross-pollination, then I could have a hot pepper next season saved from a bell pepper or something like that. And you don't want to do that. I mean, you can, I guess, if that's your thing, but I don't really want to do that. Right over here is my lavender taking off. It's doing beautifully. Bees are on this all day long. There's a couple in there right now. Got some okra and eggplant planted throughout here. Couple noodle bean volunteers here in the front, and I've also planted some squash varieties that will grow up the trellis right here as well. Some more squash over here on this trellis, so it'll go up over this trellis and be beautiful here. There is a volunteer plant right here that I can't tell yet what it is. I'm gonna leave it, not 100% sure what it is. It doesn't really look like a sunflower, but it kind of does. It's not really squash leaves, so I don't really know 100%, but I'm gonna leave it. It could be a weed, and as it grows, if it's a weed, I'll pull it out. But for now, it is there and doing its thing, and we'll see. This back bed, we are not planting yet. It is gonna be a lot of more squash, pumpkins, and things like that, but we just got this weed eated, and there was a ton of weeds back here, and I gotta get some fresh compost to put on this. It needs amending for sure. I'm gonna plant pole beans on these trellises. I just don't have those planted yet because the soil is not ready. But all the way down through here, there's still a lot of weeds that we weed whacked them down, but I need to go through and pull those out still. On the back of this trellis is more tomatoes because, again, growing a ton of tomato varieties. These are Moskvich tomatoes, and I don't know how to say it, but Waspanapa peach tomatoes. I don't know how to say that. And I think a purple variety, turkey purple maybe. So again, lots of different varieties. I'm just kind of trying to learn what tomatoes work best and what I like best and all of that. And then this is might be our last bed, we'll see. This is potatoes and onions throughout here that are growing well. Lots of volunteer calendulas throughout this bed as well that I've left. There was a ton like right here. This was all calendulas a few weeks ago, and I split them up and moved them around the garden. So I moved some throughout here. I gave a bunch away to friends, and then I just transplanted them all throughout the garden because I didn't want them all in one spot. But that is a mixture: potatoes, onions, calendulas. Over here is my beans, purple and yellow beans to start with, but then I got the bunnies. We had a hole in our fence for a while, so I had to fix that. But before we fixed it, the bunnies were getting in and eating my beans. You can kind of tell, like this bean plant is demolished here. The leaves have been eaten off. And then, so I replanted, but I thought I was out of purple and yellow bean seeds. So instead I went to green beans. So there's gonna be some green beans in here as well. I just replanted those, they haven't come up yet. My girls love to come out and just snack on beans in the garden, so we do a lot of beans. And I'm gonna, when I pull that garlic out up in that front bed, I'm gonna plant another round of beans there because beans grow pretty quick. And then we have a random potato volunteer from last year that I must have left a potato in the ground because this was potatoes last year. Oh, it's starting to rain more, so I'm gonna do this last bed. This is my kids' garden. We just planted this actually this morning before I'm taking this video. So I probably will post that video before you see this one. So if you want to watch the kids make their garden, you can go back and watch that video. But this is, a lot of these plants that are here were volunteers from last year, or they overwintered from last year. So this chamomile was here, perennial from last year. Over here, these are calendulas that are kind of laying down. They just got transplants. They're a little droopy. And then this is a watermelon plant that we bought at a local farmer's market. And it got kind of beat up by one of the kids, so I'm hoping it recovers. And then I have a few more chamomile plants that we pulled out. Oops, I don't want that in there. Anyway, I don't want that in here. But we pulled some more chamomile out that I'm going to just transplant around the garden and throw some other places. So they didn't want as much in their kid garden. But we planted a bunch of carrots in here. We planted some more beans because Grace loves beans. What else did we plant? Carrots. There's some Cosmo seeds that we threw back in here. A bunch of different stuff. So that will take off here in the next couple of weeks. All right, guys. Well, that's what I have for you today. Just a quick garden tour while I'm in the rain. I don't know if you can see the raindrops hitting me or not, but it is sprinkling on me. So I'm going to get inside and hang out with the kiddos, get some stuff done around the house that I need to do. I'm going to be making jam today, I think, as well. So hope you enjoyed seeing where my garden's at so far. Throw some pictures down in the comments of your garden. I love to see other people's gardens and what they look like, where they're at. I do also have a green stalk I didn't show you today, but maybe we can do that another day to show you kind of what else I have growing up in the green stalk. It's kind of just off my back patio, so I can come out and pick lettuce as I want to and have some other things right there as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.